everyone, Ramey here, and today I'm going to walk you through an introduction of Articulate 360, just kind of the interface and some of the basics of actually, going through and starting to develop in Articulate. This is a piece of software that a lot of, e-learning people, instructional designers, trainers, use, something I teach in my graduate program, and we use this all the time. Articulate and Captivate are kind of the two big pieces of software that we use. So let's talk about this software. So first of all, this is Articulate 360. There's Articulate 360, and then there's a studio version. The studio version comes with a few little apps like there's a quiz maker and some other stuff, but for the most part, you can do everything using this just 360. So you don't necessarily need that. It does a few other things, and I'll talk about that in some other videos. But in this one, I just want to go through Articulate 360. So basically, first of all, why, I try to explain to people that Articulate is PowerPoint on steroids. It's really like it's a version of PowerPoint that does a lot more than PowerPoint, and it's not related to Microsoft. They don't own it or anything like that, but that's how I like to describe it to people. It's PowerPoint on steroids. So let's talk about Articulate and how you actually use it, because it's very simple to use. This is a piece of software that I can usually teach to someone how to use it, pretty extensively in 2.5 to 3 hour class period. I can teach someone how to use it extensively so that they can go out and develop their own training. All right, so let's talk about it. So first of all, what we see here is I've opened it up on the screen, and this is the basic user interface. So, in the main part of the screen here, right now I'm in story view. I'll show you some of the different views, but these are my actual slides. This is my slide. This is what I'm seeing. On the right-hand side, I see something called triggers. Those are my actions. Like if I wanted to add an action to a button, it would be a trigger. Like, click on this. When I click on this button, it's going to go to the next slide. Those are called my triggers. And then down below, I see my properties. Right now, my slide is selected, so I see slide properties. And it asks me to slide advance automatically, like if it was going through like a video, or when the user clicks the next button or clicks to go to the next screen. And they show me some examples here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look. Let's go to the top menu now. You can see the top here. It's very similar look and feel to PowerPoint. So it should make users feel very comfortable. You shouldn't feel overwhelmed when you first opened up Articulate. It's not that extensive. So let's talk about what it does. So first thing here, we have new scenes. So think of scenes like a chapter in a book, like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. The way I personally develop, I never use scenes. If I'm going to use a new scene, I'm probably just going to start a new movie and connect it a different way rather than develop this huge long one, piece of software. Because I'm usually thinking of like SCORM in my head and other things and breaking things up into small chunks. So I usually don't use scenes, but the option is there if you did want to use it. I've never used it in any software. But right now I'm on the starting scene, which is first one. That's why you see the flag. Next, we come to our question banks. Now, they do make a quiz maker, but pretty much everything you can do in the quiz maker, you can do right in Articulate. So you can see I can start making new questions, or I can manage questions. So if I've created a bunch of questions, I can keep reusing them for things, or I can go to create question bank. I add a name for it, and now I can start creating questions. And automatically I can create survey questions, graded questions. So I can create questions that aren't going to be scored, like more like activities that I want someone to go through, like a true false as they're going through, or like a, which one of these is which. Or I can actually create a graded test. And you would just click like graded question, and tons of options. I can choose from true, false, multiple choice, any kind of assessment you can imagine they have an option for. And they're very easy to create once you click on them. They also have a bunch of default templates that you can choose from, which are pretty cool, with different kinds of backgrounds, give you some idea. And if you click on one of these and want to use it, you can actually edit it. You can change colors, you can change the person to make it someone you actually work with, that kind of thing. Really cool. And it inserts the slide and you create the question. Like I'll go to insert a multiple choice question, and what it does is it allows me, I can enter the question, enter all the choices, enter my responses. Very easy to actually create. And notice when I go to and inserted that question, notice where I'm clicking on the mouse right now. This is where I'm actually moving. So like I can see, here's my story view. Here's my question that I'm creating. And here's the actual like slide that the question's on where I'm actually editing it. I'm going to get out of this. I'm just going to get out of the questions. But you can see how easy it is to create a new question. So you can see there's all kinds of cool stuff to do with questions. So what I'm going to show you now, so I can keep creating new slides. So I'm just going down through the menu here, and I'll show you a couple other things that it does too within this screen. So first of all, when I go to new slide, I see this thing called the content library. Content library is, you know, they have tons and tons of different templates, and I can see here on the side here, different themes I can choose from, and I can scroll down and just choose all kinds of free content that they give you that's included in Articulate. And I can pick from these and, you know, edit it and, you know, have it work for me. Like if I like this one screen here, I'm inserting it into the screen right now. While it's inserting, I can see it down here. I can go in and edit that if I want to. I can I can have my own templates. Now, there's something called team slides, which is pretty cool. So team slides is like, let's say I work for a company, and you can actually see I have some here. It's from one of my students. But so if you're on a team version of Articulate, like where I work, we're on a team version, which means we assign the login to various people on our team. We're all connected in the cloud. So that means like if I'm working on slides and I want to share them with everyone, like I make some default company slides, and I want like my next instructional designer to also be able to use that template I created or reuse them. I can make them team slides, and then we can just pull them up and use them a bunch of different times without having to recreate them. I won't even have to send them to them, which is pretty cool. Then we have basic layouts, very similar look and feel to PowerPoint, where you can choose like, oh, what I want it to look like, you know, title only, and I can kind of pick what kind of slide I want to create. Notice I'm saying slide, so similar to PowerPoint. In fact, I can import PowerPoint right into here. So if I've developed PowerPoint slides, I can import them right into Articulate, and then I can do, you know, add better actions and some stuff like that with them. And then there's also, these are the pieces of software that come with the studio version of Articulate, like Quizmaker, and I can import, you know, different things I've made in those pieces of software. And then here's some choices, like a graded questions, obviously graded versus, and there's a survey questions. And then the free form question is like the, you know, like a knowledge check, like a check within your instruction, like a, you know, some kind of formative evaluation where I'm just getting. And then I can have a results page where I can have the results of the test, and we'll get to record screen. So one thing you're going to notice, just like other pieces of software, there are like 20 ways to do something in Articulate. So like I see record screen here, record screens over here. There's a bunch of ways to record screen. So in fact, when you start up Articulate, it asks you if you want a new project or record screen or open something. Okay, then I can apply layouts like to all my slides if I would like to, and I can duplicate slides. Next, we come to record screen. This is really the, you know, one of the cooler things about Articulate. So I'm just going to go to record, click the record screen button really quick. And basically what has popped up on my screen is saying how to record. It tells you how to record. I can press the little record button, and I have to pick what mic I want it to use, what size I want it to record at. They give me a few options to choose from. Make sure if you're recording a screen, you're definitely doing that. But then what you do is you can actually press record, and I can record my screen. I'm not going to do it for this example, but what it does, it gives you a couple different options. So first of all, you can record a screen and make it a video. So it's just like creating a video in Camtasia or whatever else. You're creating an actual video of your desktop. If you're doing that, I do suggest you use a program like Camtasia because it's made for that specifically. I don't think making a video, I'd rather make a video in Camtasia and import it into Articulate than do it in Articulate. But if you have to do it in Articulate, it's fine. It does work. It's not as nice. I can't like put my picture up on the screen and do a few things. It's not as seamless, I should say. All right. So then I can also record the steps. So like if I wanted to record like step by step, you know, how to use a tutorial for a piece of software, that Articulate does that beautifully. That's exactly what it's made for. And I can make it so that the user can watch me go through the steps. I can make it so that the user can practice going through the steps, or I can make it that the user is tested on how to go through those steps. Really cool if you're creating a tutorial on a piece of software. It's one of the things I love about record screen option. All right, we're going to click our player. So our player is super important because what it does, this is what the end user is going to see around the content you develop. So your subject matter expert's really going to want to work with you while you're developing this content because it's going to be extremely important. So you can see here on the side, I can choose, do I want to have a menu? Do I want what color do I want my, it's really like you're picking your skin for the player of what it's going to look like. Where do I want things located? Do I want them to be able to see different text? And I can go through and choose like what the titles are, what the menu's going to say, all kinds of different options here. But it's super important that you go through these options with your subject matter expert and select what it's really going to look like. Because, in addition to the content you're developing, the user's going to see this the whole entire time. So it's super important. You can add a logo and do a bunch of cool things with that. Do you want to add like the transcription if you have audio and that kind of stuff? You're going to do that here and you want to make sure that it's correct. And then I have options to like preview this slide, this scene, the entire project, or publish. Let's just click publish really quick to take a look at some of the options. You can see a bunch of different options here. Review 360 is in the cloud so that it's actually a review option where my subject matter experts can go in and review the content I created without me having to send them anything. Really simple. I can publish it on the web version. So like it's all HTML5 and stuff like that. I can publish it via video. I can publish it and articulate online via the cloud. If I want it to be like SCORM compliant and I'm publishing it to an LMS, I have that option. CD, we're not using CDs anymore. I don't even have a CD drive on any of my computers, so but you can publish it that way if you want to. And you can publish it in Word. Why would they have that option? I'll tell you why. Because if you're making a job aid, it could be really useful. You might have to edit it in Word and make it look nice, but it's a great starting point. So that's why they have that. That's publishing options. Okay, so then let's start to get into the meat of Articulate. So let's say I go in and I'm gonna double click on a slide here so that we're actually in. So notice if I go to my story view, my options right here change from when I click on a slide and go into it. All the insert slides, design, transitions, that all stays the same. But when I double click on a slide, I'm now in it. And look at the screen. It looks exactly like Microsoft PowerPoint. So similar, right? Okay, but it is a little different. So on the left-hand menu here, you can see that I have all my slides. Similar setup to PowerPoint. I have what my screen looks like, similar to PowerPoint. As I told you, your triggers, which are your actions on the side, and your properties. And then down here is where it starts to differ. In PowerPoint, you usually have notes down here at the bottom, but in Articulate, you actually have your timeline. A timeline is like each slide plays through. So think of each slide as like a little movie clip that plays through. Like you could have some actions happening. I'm trying to move my player head. Nothing's really an action here, but I can have different actions. And I can click on these to edit this, to change this. Like if I want to delete menu 3, I can delete it, I can change it. One trick in Articulate that I found is sometimes when I push like the backspace button or I right click and go to delete or cut something, it doesn't cut. Just always push the actual delete button on your computer and it will delete it. Like if you put your mouse in Articulate, you can't, the only way to delete it is to push the actual delete button. Strange, but that's how you do it. Okay, so you can edit any of these. You can see the timeline. I can show and hide things. I can make certain things visible and not visible. I can lock things so they can't be edited. And I'll get to states in a minute. I'll show you guys that when I get there. But I'm not there just yet. Okay, so let's look on the screen now. So you can see I can create my slides. We've already went through that. I have some options like changing my fonts and my size and bold, italic, underline, change colors, do I want to add numbers and bullets and stuff like that? Do I want to rearrange things, change my shape? Basic things that you can do in Word. Let's go through the rest of the menu items. All right, we've got our insert. Now, some really cool stuff here that I really like about Articulate. And one of them has to do with all the different things, options, the things they give you. So like there are all these different characters I can choose. And I can pick like this person and I have to download her to use her, but she'll be in a bunch of different poses that I can just use. I can choose what gender do I want. I can choose what kind of clothing do I want, like different kinds of stances. Do I want them to be like, just click her really quick. I should have some of these people downloaded, but oh yeah, here we go. We have Laura downloaded. I can insert Laura and I can have Laura. Now we'll go to poses. Look at all the ways she's standing. So that I can use her expression. Like I can add this board and draw text on it. So many different options for all these people. Really cool. I really like that a lot. It's a really nice feature. And the same thing with photos, illustrations, icons, and videos. All things they give you. I'll just show you some examples here really quick. So you have to search what you want to, they don't just show, but I'll just click Apple. And you can see these are all pictures of apples that I'm free to use. And same thing with illustrations. Oh, it's already searching Apple. You can see all the illustrations of Apple that I'm free to use. We have icons of apples that we're allowed to use. And then we actually have videos that we're allowed to use. The videos, do you want to have a video that you didn't make in your thing? Maybe it makes sense, so you have to watch it and see. There could be pieces of it to do. But they have videos here for you, which is kind of cool. All right, then you can add your own pictures. Add shapes, just like Word and PowerPoint. Add captions, which are very useful in training. Add your own videos. And just let me open this up. So when I go to like add pictures and add videos, one of the things that Captivate has is something called the media library. So I go to insert and I see this media library. The media library are all of my images, all of my videos, all my screenshots, all the things that I might want to add to something. So let me just pull it over here. You can see that I don't have any video with this project, but if I had a bunch of videos and audio and characters and images that I was using in my project, I could see them all here so that I could keep reusing them, and then I can use them for other projects. I can save that and just start being able to quickly pull things from a library, which is a really nice feature. Then I can record audio or insert audio. Obviously, I'm a big fan of recording audio or video via other specialized software for that, but it does it really well here as well. And there is a text-to-speech option. I can incorporate a piece of a web page or web image if I want to. Text boxes and slide numbers. And then so there are some other things I can add, like they give me choices for buttons, sliders, dials. So like a slider is like something that moves back and forth, a dial. A hotspot is like an invisible button. Like if I wanted clicking on this woman's head to be a button, that's what a hotspot would be. I can add check boxes, and I can add different kinds of markers. So like if I were to add a button, can I see it? There's my button. As soon as I click on my button, they give me a bunch of options for my button. I can format it. First of all, I need to give it an action, like when clicked, and I would just click on this. Really simple to give things actions. Action, on click, do this thing, play media, submit quiz. Very easy to do, like programming logic. They do it for you. So there's no programming that you have to do. You just have to know, like, when I click on my button, go to the next slide or go do this, and you just tell it what you want it to do. Very easy. And then I can change like the color and formatting and some things like that. Now let me get to this states. So next to my timeline, I have states. All that states are like normal is what my button's going to look like on the screen. Hover. Hover is what it's going to look like when the mouse or the person hovers over the button. So states are different states of the object. Down is when they're clicking down mouse. Visited is when they visit it, or is it a disabled button? And the reason you have these states is because sometimes, like when I hover over a word, I might want to change the word to something else while they're hovered over it. Like if you have a picture and they hover over it and you want text to show up, that kind of thing. That's what the states are for. Pretty cool. All right, let's get out of that. We're on insert. We're done with insert. Here's another way to get to your actions by clicking trigger. If I want to add a different mouse to the screen, I can do that. As I said, you add a mouse. There's my mouse. I can click on it. I'm going to push in backspace. I can't delete it. Push the delete button. It's deleted. And notice when I add a mouse, like when you add an object and you click on it, the formatting for that object comes up. Like when I was on my button, there were those up. Now on my mouse, different format. Very similar to the way PowerPoint reacts. And here I can, do I want my mouse to be a double click, a single click, or no click? What do I want it to look like? And I can format it a little bit. All right. So that was insert. Now we're on our slides. And a lot of this stuff we've already looked at. Content library. I just showed you that in the previous place. There are 5 ways to do everything. My templates, this is all stuff that we talked about in the first home. My team slides. And this is how I would share the project with my team. Creating my questions. We've already talked about that, doing that. It's just that there are 10 ways to do everything. We talked about recording a screen and we talked about publishing. Design, this should look familiar. All these designs you can choose from for your background and different things. And here's our background styles. Transitions, just like PowerPoint. How do I want my slides to transition from one to the next? Animations, again, just like PowerPoint. I can make this mouse animate and move around in a circle. I can make like a star fly into the screen. I can make my bulleted menu items fly right in. It works exactly like PowerPoint does. So very easy to create the animations. View, do I want to be in story mode, which we've already seen. Slide master, which we've already seen, or is that slide view? Slide master is simply our master slide, just like PowerPoint. You know, if we want to have, and there's a feedback master. Another way to get to our media library. What is that? 4 or 5 different ways we found. Then it has things like rollers, which I love to use rollers and gridlocks. Super helpful for me to use these options when I'm aligning things. I'm one that likes to work with pixels, so it's really important for me to be able to see my roller and grids. I love working in them. And then help. They have some help forums that their staff are on. So if you ask questions, their staff do answer, respond. As you search, because you're going to be like, how do I do this on Articulate? When you like get stuck somewhere, you know, I'm always searching, and the staff are always really helpful. They'll either answer your question or you find that they've responded to someone else who had the exact same question, which is pretty cool. And that's it. That's the basic introduction to Articulate. So very simple, pretty simple to get started and use. Can get more complicated as you get more complicated, but it's a lot of fun. It's a really nice piece of software for instructional designers to use because you don't have to be a programmer to use it, and you can create some beautiful pieces of software training with it. Thank you.